Hey, my reactor. So I'm back with chapter 2 of The Fold. I decided not to go to the library with Kevin to look for forgeable free papers. I was worried about what might happen if Rufus called me from the car while it was moving. Will I arrive in his time still moving, but without the car to protect me? Or will I arrive safe and still, but had trouble when I return home? Because this time, the home I return to might be the middle of a busy street. I didn't want to find out, so while Kevin got ready to go to the library, I sat on the bed, fully dressed, stuffing a comb, a brush, and a bar of soap into my cabbage bag. I was afraid I might be trapped in Rufus' time for a longer period if I went again. My first trip had lasted only a few minutes, my second a few hours. What was next? Days? Kevin came in to tell me he was going. I didn't want him to leave me alone, but I thought I had done enough whining for one morning. I kept my fear to myself, or I thought I did. You feel all right? He asked me. You don't look so good. I had just had my first look in the mirror since the beating, and I didn't think I looked so good either. I opened my mouth to reassure him, but before I could get the words out, I realized that something really was wrong. The room was beginning to darken and spin. Oh no, I moaned. I closed my eyes against the sickening dizziness. Then I sat hugging the cabbage bag and waiting. Suddenly, Kevin was beside me holding me. I tried to push him away. I was afraid for him without knowing why. I shouted for him to let me go. Then the walls around me and the bed beneath me vanished. I lay sprawled on the ground under a tree. Kevin lay beside me, still holding me. Between us was the cabbage bag. Oh, God, I muttered, sitting up. Kevin sat up too and looked around wildly. We were in the woods again, and it was a day this time. The country was much like what I remember from my first trip, though there was no river in sight this time. It happened, said Kevin. It's real. I took his hand and held it, glad of the glad of its familiarity, and yet I wish we were back at home. In this place, He was probably better protection for me than free papers would have been. But I didn't want him here. I didn't want this place to touch him except through me. But it was too late for that. Oh, my dog hit me in my eye, y'all, with his big face. Oh. I looked around for Rufus, knowing that he must be nearby. He was. Uh, dang. And the moment I saw him, I knew I was too late to get him out of trouble this time. He was laying on the ground, his body curled in a small knot, his hands clutching one leg. Beside him was another boy, black, about 12 years old. All Rufus' attention seemed to be on his leg, but the other boy had seen us. He might even have seen us appear from nowhere. That might be why he looked so frightened now. I stood up and went over to Rufus. He didn't see me at first. His face was twisted with pain and streaked with tears and dirt. But he wasn't crying aloud. Like the black boy, he looked about 12 years old. Rufus, he looked up, startled. Dana. Yes, I was surprised that he recognized me after the years that had passed for him. I saw you again, he said. You were on a bed. Just as I started to fall, I saw you. You did more than just see me, I said. I fell on my leg. Who are you? Demanded the other boy. She's all right, Nigel, said Rufus. She's the one I told you about, the one who put out the fire that time. Nigel looked at me, then back at Rufus. Can she fix your leg? I doubt it, I said, but let me see anyway. I moved his hand away and gently as I could, pulled his pants leg up. His legs was discolored and swollen. Can you move your toes, I asked. He tried, managed to move 2 toes freely. It's broken, commented Kevin. He had come closer to look. Yes, I looked at the other boy, Nigel. Where he fall from? There, the boy pointed upward. There was a tree limb hanging high above us, a broken tree limb. You know where he lives? I asked. Sure, I live there too. The boy was probably a slave. I realized the property of Rufus' family. You sure do talk funny, said Nigel. Mine is of opinion, I said. Look, if you care what happens to Rufus, you better go tell his father to send a wagon for him. He won't be walking anywhere. He can lean on me. No, the best way for him to go home is flat on his back. The least painful way. Anyhow, you go tell Rufus' father that Rufus broke his leg. Hold on. Broke his leg. Tell him to send for the doctor. We'll stay with Rufus until you get back with the wagon. You? He looked from me to Kevin, making no secrets of the fact that he didn't find us all that trustworthy. How come you dress like a man, he asked me. Nigel, said Kevin quietly. Don't worry about how she's dressed. Just go get some help for your friend. Friend? Nigel gave Kevin a frightened glance, then he looked at Rufus. Go, Nigel, whispered Rufus. It hurts something awful. Say I said for you to go. Nigel went, finally, unhappily. What's he afraid of, I asked Rufus. Will he get into trouble for leaving you? Maybe. Rufus closed his eyes for a moment in pain. Or for letting me get hurt? I hope not. It depends on whether anybody made Daddy mad lately. Well, Daddy hasn't changed. I wasn't looking forward to meeting him at all. At least I wouldn't have to do it alone. I glanced at Kevin. He knelt it down beside me to take a closer look at Rufus' leg. Good thing he was barefooted, he said. A shoe will have to be cut off that foot now. Who are you? Asked Rufus. My name, Kevin Franklin. Does Dana belong to you? In a way, said Kevin. She's my wife. Wife? Rufus squealed. I signed, Kevin. I think we better demote me in this time. Niggas can't marry white people. Wait a minute. Signed, Kevin. I think we better demote me in this time. Niggas can't marry white people, said Rufus. I laid a hand on Kevin's arm just in time to stop him from saying whatever he would have said. The look on his face was enough to tell me he should have kept quiet. The boy learned to talk that way from his mother, I said softly, and from his father, and probably from the slaves themselves. Learn to talk what way? Asked Rufus. About niggas, I said. I don't like that word, remember? Try calling me black or Negro or even colored. What's the use of saying all that, and how can you be married to him? Ruth, how do you like people to call you white trash when they talk to you? What? He started up angrily, forgetting his leg, then fell back. I'm not trash, he whispered. You damn black. Hush, Ruth. I put my hand on his shoulders to quiet him. Apparently, I hit the nerve I aimed for. Oh, excuse me, y'all. I didn't think you were trash. I said how you like to be called trash. I see you don't like it. I don't like being called nigger either. He lay silent, frowning at me as though I was speaking a foreign language. Maybe I was. Where we come from, I said, it's vulgar and insulting for whites to call blacks niggers. Also, where we come from, whites and blacks can marry. But it's against the law. It is here, but it isn't where we come from. Where do you come from? I looked at Kevin. You asked for it, he said. You want to try telling him? He shook his head, no point. Not for you, maybe, but for me. I thought for a moment trying to find the right words. This boy and I are liable to have a long association whether we like it or not. I want him to know. Good luck. Where do you come from? Repeated Rufus. You sure don't talk like anyone I ever heard. I frowned, thought, and finally shook my head. Rufus, I want to tell you, but you probably won't understand. We don't understand ourselves, really. I already don't understand, he said. I don't know how I can see you when you not here, or how you get here, or anything. My leg hurts so much I can't even think about it. Let's wait then. What when you feel better. When I feel better, maybe you'll be gone. Dana, tell me. All right, I'll try. Have you ever heard of a place called California? Yeah, Mama cousin went there on a ship. Look, well, that's where we're from, California. But it's not the California your cousin went to. we were a California. We're from a California that doesn't exist yet, Rufus. California of 1976. What's that? I mean, we come from a different time as well as a different place. I told you it was hard to understand. But what's 1976? That's the year. That's what year it is for us when we're at home. But it's 1819. It's 1819 everywhere. You're talking crazy. No doubt, this is a crazy thing that happened to us. But I'm telling you the truth. We come from a future time and place. I don't know how we get here. We don't want to come. We don't belong here. But when you're in trouble, somehow you reach me, call me, and I come, although as you can see now, I can't always help you. I could have told him about our blood relationship. Maybe I would if I saw him again when he was older. For now, though, I had confused him enough. This crazy stuff, he repeated. He looked at Kevin. You tell me, are you from California? Kevin nodded, yes. Then are you Spanish? California is Spanish. It is now, but it will be part of the United States eventually, just like Maryland or Pennsylvania. When? It will become a state in 1850. Wait a minute, hold on. It will become a state in 1850, but it's only 1819. How could you know? He broke off, looked from Kevin to me in confusion. This isn't real, he said. You're making it up. It's real, said Kevin quietly. But how could it be? We don't know, but it is. He thought for a while, looking from one to the other of us. I don't believe you, he said. Kevin made a sound that wasn't quite a laugh. I don't blame you, I shrugged. All right, Ruth. I wanted you to know the truth, but I can't blame you for not being able to accept it either. 1976, said the boy slowly. He shook his head and closed his eyes. I wonder why I had bothered to try to convince him. After all, how accepting would I be if I met a man who claimed to be from 1819 or 2000 or 2019 for that matter? Time travel was science fiction in 1976. In 1819, Ruth was right. It was sheer insanity. No one but a child would even have listened to Kevin and me talk about it. If you know California is going to be a state, said Rufus, you must know some other things that are going to happen. We do, I admitted. Some things, not very much. We're not historians. But you ought to know everything if it already happened in your time. How much do you know about 1719, Ruth? He stared at me blankly. People don't learn everything about the times that came before them. I said, why should they? He sighed, tell me something, Dana. I'm trying to believe you. I dug back into the American history that I had learned both in and out of school. Well, if this is 1819, the president is James Monroe, right? Yeah. The next president will be John Quincy Adams. When? I frowned, calling back more of the list of presidents I had memorized for no particular reason when I was in school. In 1824, Monroe will have 2 terms. What else? I looked at Kevin. He shrugged. All I could think of is something I got from those books we looked through last night. In 1820, the Missouri Compromise opened the way for Missouri to come into the Union as a slave state, and Maine to come in as a free state. Do you have any idea what I'm talking about, Rufus? No, sir. I didn't think so. Have you got any money? Money? Me? No. Well, you've seen money, haven't you? Yes, sir. Coins should have the year they were made stamped on them, even now. They do. Kevin reached into his pocket and brought out a handful of change. He held it out to Rufus, and Rufus picked out the coins. 1975, he said. He read. 1977. Wait a minute. 1967, 1971, 1970. None of them say 1976. None of them say 18 anything either, said Kevin. But here, he picked out a quarter and handed it to Rufus. 1776, 1976. The boy read. Two dates. The country's 200 years old in 1976, said Kevin. Some of the money was changed to commemorate the anniversaries. Are you convinced? Well, I guess you could have made these yourself. Kevin took his money back. You might not know about Missouri Kid, he said, worried, but you had made a good Missourian. What? Just a joke. Hadn't come into fashion yet. Rufus looked troubled. I believe you. I don't understand, like Dana said, but I guess I believe you. Kevin sighed, thank God. Rufus looked up at Kevin and managed to grin. You aren't as bad as I thought you'd be. Bad? Kevin looked at me accusingly. I didn't tell him anything about you, I said. I saw you, said Rufus. You were fighting with Dana just before you came here. Or, it looked like fighting. Did you make all those marks on her face? No, he didn't, I said quickly, and he and I weren't fighting. Wait a minute, said Kevin. How could he know about that? Like he said, I shrugged. He saw us before we got here. I don't know how he does it, but he done it before. I looked down at Rufus. Have you told anybody else about seeing me? Just Nigel. Nobody else will believe me. Good. Best not tell anyone else about us now, either. Nothing about California or 1976. I took Kevin's hand and held it. We're going to have to fit in as best as we can with the people here for as long as we have to stay. That means we're going to have to play the rules you gave us. You'll say you belongs to him. Yes, I want you to say it too if anyone asks you. That's better than saying you're his wife. Nobody would believe that. Kevin made a sound of disgust. I wonder how long we'll be stuck here, he muttered. I think I'm getting homesick already. I don't know, I said, but stay close to me. You got here because you were holding me. I'm afraid that may be the only way you could get back home. Okay, y'all, be back with chapter 3 from the fold. Thank y'all for listening.